Hello everyone, welcome back to another lecture on the course Python Fundamentals Building Blocks for Aspiring Developers. We will continue with the ninth module. According to our agenda, we are at the 36th day. Today we will do a bit of a mini project where we will develop a weather application. So let's begin. So this is the question that we have. We do not have a lecture in this. We do not have sort of a lecture. This one rather we will try and create a mini project hands-on so you can see how we can create projects using APIs. So the question that we have is that we need to develop a program in Python which can print out the current weather as well as the weather forecasts, which can get the weather. And then we need to save it in a CSV file. For this, we will use the weather API, which provides us with the current and um, future weather forecasts. So these are the steps that you need to do. So first you need to create an account on Weather API, then create an API key. Then you need to test the API in the API Explorer and then integrate with the Python script. And then we can test the program. So let's begin. So I already have opened up the API Explorer. So this is Weather API. If you search for weather, so you want to go to this one, Free Weather API, not this one because I've already checked a couple of others, but still you're free to check. You can either use this one or maybe another one, or maybe this one, anyone that you like. But for the purpose of this lecture, we will use this one. So we say Free Weather API. Here you need to create an account. I already have an account and I am signed in. So once you create an account, you will come over here. This is the API key that you need. So why do we need API keys? So API keys basically are a security measure. So when I send a request to this API endpoint, I also need to include an API key. This is because it does not allow for everyone to send a request. If you have an API key, then you can send a request. This is also used in subscription services, paid services. So when you pay for something, they provide you with an API key, and the request will only send a response if the API key is correct. So this is why API key is also a private key. You should not share it with anyone. For the purpose of this lecture, I have this API key, but I can always come here and regenerate my API key, after which this one will be lost. So here it is. So you can copy the API key from here. You can just press this copy. Once it says copied, then it is copied. Then they also have a tool that is API Explorer. So what it does is that it allows us to explore how the API works. So here you need to paste in your API key and you can say show response, and here you can see the response. This is the response that you will get, right? We can also change the values. Let's say daily, and let's do show response. So we have daily, the region is not correct. Okay, let's do Mumbai. Yeah, Mumbai is correct because Delhi might be in some other area too. So this might be a problem, but for this purpose, we will use Mumbai. It says this Maharashtra in India, and this is the weather that it has. So it has wind in miles per hour, in kilometer per hour, wind degree, direction, pressure, all this sort of weather parameters. So first we'll have to choose that which ones we will use. So for this purpose, we will use this wind mile per hour. We will use wind degree, pressure, precipitation, humidity, cloud shows the cloud cover. We will also use feels like in degrees Celsius, and then we will do this temperature degree Celsius. Um, And then we also need to do the last updated, so we can show the user when this was last updated, right? So let's begin. So in the VS Code, so I've already put in the API keys. So API keys you can find from here. This is the API request. You can just copy this from here. You can simply paste it and just change the API key to this one. You want to keep it a variable and the city too, because we're going to change the city. So I already have both of them for the forecast and the current. Here is the difference. It says forecast, it says current, and you can simply do it like this. So first we need to import the modules. So I'm going to import requests, and another one I'm going to import is the CSV module. So previously we learned how to save a CSV without any module. This time around we will use the CSV module to save the data in a CSV file. The first thing I want to do is create a function to get the data. So I'm going to say get weather. And here, what do we need to give? We need to give the city for which we need the weather, right? Now, after this, first I need to define an API key. So I'm going to say API key is equals to. So I'm just going to go to my account, copy this key. It is copied. I'll go here, paste the key. The key is here. So I made it a variable. In case we want to change it, we can simply change it over here and then pass it. Then it will be automatically updated over here. Now I've already put in the API endpoints for the current as well as the forecast. Now what I want to do is that I want to check what sort of a request the user has made. So here I can also say type, right? Or instead I want to say current, right? This will be a Boolean value. So if current is equals to true, then I want to say that my URL will be for the current one, this. Else, if it is not true, then my URL will be for the forecast one, right? And then I can remove both of these. So the URL is changing based on what I have selected. Now what we need to do is that we need to send a request. So we say response equal to requests dot get. Here I'm going to put in the URL. So based on the selection by the user, either this URL will be sent or this one will be here, right? Now once I have the response, I want to check the response. So I say if response dot status code is equals to 200, data is equals to response dot JSON, right? And then we can simply print data for now, just to see. And here I want to say in case we have an error, response dot status code, right? And now we need to define the main functionality. So what we need to do is that first we need to get an input from the user. So we say city is equals to input, enter the city, right? And then we want to say current is equals to input, and I want to make it a integer value. So say if you want the current weather, press 1. If you want the forecast, press 2, right? So here I'm going to do a small if condition. So I'm going to say current input. If current input is equals to 1, then we want to say current is equals to true. Elif current input is equals to true. Oops. We say current is equals to false, and else we say print invalid input, and then we can simply exit the program. So you can change this menu as you want. Right now, since we are more concerned with this one, I'm not going to do the menu as much better as we want it to be, like there's a loop and all that. But you already implemented this and you can change this as you want. But for now, we will keep it like this. And once the user has entered everything, we have the city and the current, we say get weather. First, we need to pass in the city and then we need to pass in the current, right? So all is here. So now let's save it and let's run the code. So I'm going to say Mumbai, press 1. So it says if location Mumbai, it gave me data, right? Now I can also check for, let's say it is 32.2 for the current one. And for the next one, it says so it is showing me the things to chance of rain, heat index, no, this, and temperature is 29.3. So this is different for the future one, right? So now what I want to do is that instead of printing the data, I want to choose the fields. So first, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to define a list fields to, let's say, save. So these are the fields which we are going to save. So first one is wind underscore miles per hour. Then the next one is wind underscore degree. Then the next one is pressure. And then the next one is precipitation. This is in millimeters. And the next one is humidity. Humidity. And then the next one we have is cloud. And then feels like temperature. Temperature. I also want to save the name and also the last updated. So all these things, wind MPH, this one I saw it from here, from this API Explorer. Oops. Pasting API key, show response. So I saw it from here, wind MPH, wind degree, pressure, all these things. I saw it from here. So now once we have it, so let's put a comment. Fields I want to save, and then we need to do is that we need to save the values. So we save values for these fields. So now I'm going to use sort of a list comprehension to be able to get these values from this data, right? So I'm going to say values to save is equals to, and then I'm going to write data current So that means data current instead. Let's just check this real quick. So this is for the current, so it says current, and like this. But what if I want to do for the forecast? It says current 13.0 degrees Celsius. Eleven point zero. So it is changing, right? In the current one, it is changing. So I'm just gonna go back. I'm gonna say data current, and then I'm going to write the field, and then I'm going to say if this field exists. So I'm going to check the field in data. Either it is in data current or it is not in the current one. So then I'm going to say else if field in data current, else field is in the data location field or field in fields to save, right? This is I've done from here. So either it is in current, either it is in location. So based on that, I'm going to do that because the name is in this one. Um, yeah. And in the current, we have this last updated, this temperatures, and the rest is over here. So once I have this, what I want to do is that I want to save it as a CSV file. So for that, I'm going to create another function. I'm going to save create underscore CSV. It will take in the list. So I'm going to say output underscore list. This one here, I'm going to call the function create CSV, right? This one, and I'm going to save values to save this. This one now becomes output list. So first we need to do with open name. I'm going to name it weather underscore data dot CSV. Want to open it in writing mode as it's a CSV file. Now we have opened a new file. So for this one, I'm going to say writer is equals to CSV dot writer, and then I'm going to say CSV file. So this is the syntax for the CSV module, right? So first I'm going to say writer dot write row, and the first row is which one? Is this one fields to save. Now I also need to send this over here. So this one becomes the title or the name of the columns. And here I'm going to say fields. So first I need to do writer dot write row fields, and then I'm going to do writer dot write row, and I'm going to say output underscore list. Then I'm just going to say return, right? Everything's correct. And here I can also do a print statement, print data saved to the file, right? So we have done. So everything's complete. Now it should work. Let me just clear this one. Control F5, run the code. So I'm going to enter Mumbai. I want the current weather. So data saved to the file. So here we have this weather data.csv. So It says Mumbai, this is the wind, this is the wind degree, and so and so. I'm just going to rename it so it doesn't get overwritten. I'm going to say current, and here let's run it again. So I'm going to say Mumbai forecast. Again, it's saved to this one. So okay, so both of them seem same because we need to change in the value for the forecast values. So for the forecast, I'm going to do show response. So it says current, and then it says forecast, then forecast day, and in that one it has all the values. So let's see how we can max temperature, date, 1.6. We have this max temperature, wind. Okay, so this is for different time zones. So what I'm going to do is that first I'm going to change the values over here, right? So I'm going to say if it is current, then I'm going to do this as values to save, right? Else I'm going to say values to save is equals to data forecast data forecast day forecast day, and then I'm going to choose the first day right away. I'm going to choose the first day here. So it comes into this list. Then everything that I need to know is in this day thing. Stay, say field data length, and then just copy this one, paste this one. Let's do a quick check if that works, right? So now the values have been changed, but we're getting a different sort of a format, right? So we can change the format as well. So it says max temperature, max minimum temperature, average temperature. So I wanna not go to max temperature, rather I wanna go to this thing. This R astro. So it is in the forecast day. So instead of here putting it day, we just put it like this, and then run the code again. Number 2. So now we have everything over here. Day. Okay, we have the day. Okay. We have the forecast study, then we have the day. Study 0. Hour. Okay, so we're getting lots of data. So what we need to do is that first we need to figure out from here what is the correct way of doing it. So let's just quickly figure that out. So let's see. So we're in the forecast day. Then we're going to do for the first day only. And then, okay, we need to do for the R2. So we will only do for the first R, right? So now let's go back and make some changes. So I'm going to say data forecast day 0. And then I'm going to say R and then the first R only. And then I'm going to put in the field, right? So I also need to change this over here. So I'm just going to copy this, paste it over here. Now since our this field is also different, I've also changed this one a bit. And one thing that we need to do is that we need to remove the name from here, right? Because name is at a different location, so that causes an issue. But what we can do is that we can add the name at the end. So we can say fields to save dot append, and here I can append the city at the end, right? And values to save dot append, here I can append the city at the end. In fact, this is the name of the column, so I'm gonna say city, right? So now this seems correct. Now let's go ahead and run the code. Run the code. I'm going to say Mumbai for the current one. We have this for the current one. Right now the Mumbai is at the end. We have the city at the end. So I'm going to delete this older one. So I'm just going to, yes, I'm going to rename it to current, and then I'm going to run it again. Then I'm going to say Mumbai. The forecast, it says data saved. So now we have the forecast as well. So we now have a different wind speed. Wind degree is also different. So the forecast is different, and now you can simply share this file with someone. So this is sort of like how you can create a project using the APIs and the weather API. You can try this one. You can make the menu much more better. You can maybe make this menu much easier to use, include more things even from this website, maybe use more of these average wind, minimum temperature, these sort of things. um, you can also look into the history one if you want. Okay, since our API key is limited, we cannot get the history one, but still you can try with more forecast and current conditions, right? So that was all in this lecture and this module. This marks the end of the module, and now we are moving towards the end of the course as well. In the next one, we will do a project based on everything that we have learned. So we'll meet you in the next one. Up till then, goodbye.